Okay, busy news weekend. And I do want to hear about Baltimore too. AJ, you want to just give me a clip notes? We're going to get into the team.
We got a rain delay, and we still only had a 2-hour and 20-minute game, which was awesome. Baltimore is not hitting the ball very well right now. I know they scored some runs, but they do not hit lefties. They're the worst team against lefties in baseball. My flight got diverted on my way up there. That was amazing. I had some hotel issues. We're not going to get into that because we're not allowed to. And yeah, that was it. It was a hell of a weekend.
Wow, that sounded
Not
like
if you're
some weekend.
Not if you were traveling, though. It wasn't a hell of a weekend. Not if you're on the plane and walk to a hotel at 1 a.m. They tell you, "Oh, just kidding. We had a reservation for you," but it doesn't really count because we're just kidding.
Kratz has nothing for you. Anyway, let's go over real quick before we charge attendance numbers that have come out. They look really good. This could be the first time period since 2005 through 2007 that we have attendance going up in 3 consecutive years, Kratz. And the numbers might look even more favorable due to the fact that obviously weather was not great, as it mostly isn't these days, the first couple weeks of the season in the Northeast and the Midwest. So numbers look really strong in attendance in Major League Baseball. And do you know who has by far the biggest spike in baseball? It is not even close by percentage.
In those 3 years, the Padres.
No. Right now, this year, first month and change of the season.
The Mets.
Correct. I should read the numbers just because they stood out that much. So the Dodgers always lead in this category. They have the biggest ballpark and 51,364 right now for home. The Mets are at 36,198 per game. I know that's a lot less than LA, but it's still a very healthy number for baseball. They're up by more than 56% per game. What? AJ, I think Juan Soto sells tickets.
Yeah, you think good players sell tickets? Good players sell tickets. It's weird how that works. The more good players you have, the more excited a fan base gets, and the more tickets they want to go buy, and the more people they want to see, and all that stuff. It's weird. It's crazy that if you actually spend money on your product, you can get money back. I never would have thought of that. Warren Buffett recently announced he's retiring. I wonder if he's thought of that.
No, there's no way. There's no way if you put money into your team that people will want to come see them. Because if you get free agents, then ticket prices might go up, and that's when fans don't come out, right? Oh, wait, there's no correlation to that. It's a winning, exciting team that they've built. They added to it with the best player available in the free agent market. And, and they're winning at home. So, yeah, good formula. Keep it up.
Yeah, winning helps for sure. Always does. But when they made that move in the offseason, I was told by very good sources that phones were off the hook. And clearly they are, if you can see what's going on right now. All right, let's charge.
He's charging the mound.
The Texas Rangers have some offensive issues, aside from yesterday's game where they scored 8, but they are worst in the American League in runs scored, second worst in all of baseball to the Rockies. And AJ, you weren't here Friday, but we talked about Jake Berger getting optioned. Then Leody Taveras was just cut, DFA'd. He can get claimed. He won't. He'll probably be in AAA with them. And then Donnie Ecker, their offensive coordinator, including their OC during their 2023 World Series winning season, has been let go. Chris Young, very vocal about how they're not scoring runs. That's very obvious. What do you think? Do you think this is going to make a difference?
Listen, they got rid of their hitting coach this offseason. Chris Hires is in Atlanta, I believe. So he was their hitting coach the last couple of years. They got rid of him. Now they got rid of Donnie Ecker, their OC, which I don't really know what he does. Maybe Kratz can explain. I don't know if he calls a draw on 3rd and 10 or if he calls a screenplay when the rush is getting to the QB. I don't really know what he does. But it's the same players. Like, it sucks for Jake Berger getting set down, but it's the same players. You need Seager back. You need Semien to get going. You need Adolis Garcia to go back to where he was 2 years ago. I don't know. Will it make a change? Will it help? Probably, because it's a new voice. But at the end of the day, man, I was on a team where managers and coaches get fired. You look yourself in the mirror as a player and say, this is my fault.
It sucks to have any coach or managers fired during the season, because it's exactly what AJ said. it sucks. But to me, this is like a stark difference in this offense. This is a underperforming offense. Touched on a little bit how Baltimore's hitting. I thought this lineup would be as good as Baltimore's, and they're both brutal. So I'm not sure either. I guess my evaluations suck, or there's glaring issues in just a overall game strategy standpoint. So maybe this is the reason that the coach got fired, but it's still the players. They have to hit a fastball, and they're not.
Does this send a message in your mind, AJ, to the current group? I mean, they're not going to do anything with some of the stars, no?
Who would it send a message to? Seager? He's hurt. Simeon? He's not going anywhere. Josh Young? He's not going anywhere. Jonah Heim? Higashioka? Adolis Garcia? I mean, no, it doesn't. It just says, hey, be careful. We need to get better. But no, it doesn't. I don't know what message it sends other than we need to be better. And listen, as a player, man, you hate when people that you have known and gone to battle with and have had your back lose their job, because it means you're not performing the way you think you're capable of. That's the biggest thing. It sucks as a player when guys get fired. Yeah,
like I don't understand what message it would be sending. Like, oh, you're firing coaches? Thank goodness I'm a player. Man, no accountability for me. Like, oh, you sent, like, I actually kind of liked, as much as I don't like seeing guys get sent down, the Jake Berger thing, in the sense of there was a guy in AAA that is an older player, 27, 28 years old, that was sitting there going, I'm hitting. And I got called up to the big leagues. Now other guys in the bushes are like, okay, if I perform the way that he was performing, I could also get called up. I think that sends a little bit more of a message to players. Jake Berger's going to be back in the big leagues. Jake Berger might actually end up with more than 20 home runs this year too. Like, it doesn't mean that you get sent down, you're a bad player. It means that message that was sent maybe kind of gets the AAA team going a little bit, in the sense of like, okay, we'll be able to come and step in and help out. And other guys can say, Marcus Semien got dropped down in the order. Those kind of moves send a message. Firing your hitting coach, that didn't send a message, because now you got a new dude that's coming in and, hey, he's going to talk about this. Is this going to connect? When the whole time it's just, I got to go out and perform better.
Oh, hold on. You just said that it sends a message to AAA. Who cares?
No.
Who cares with the message? Great. Like, they get if we do good, we're going to get called up. Like, no kidding.
No, it sends messages to players. It sends messages to players, because you have to keep players accountable in some way.
The players know, though. The players know if you suck, something happens. But they're not going to get rid of certain guys. Simeon, Seager, these guys that are locked into long-term contracts, they're not sending them to AAA. I mean, it's cool that, I don't even know the guy's name that got called up for Berger. That's great for him, but it doesn't do anything in AAA. Everybody in AAA wants a big league job. That shouldn't change. It shouldn't be like, oh, they're really going to do it, guys. Let's go wherever, Round Rock or Frisco or whatever it is.
No, I mean more of, look, we're not afraid of sending guys down. You're right. Simeon, Seager, Josh Smith is killing it. Like, other guys are clearly not everybody's hitting. So if you show that, you know what, we're willing to use other guys in your spot if you don't perform, to me, that sends a message.
How about Bruce Bochy never doing this? I think this is his call. How does this decision get put together? No, it's just from the front office. Well, he's got a 28-year managerial career, and I think this is the first time he's ever done this with a significant coaching staff change in the season.
This was a front office where you need to do something different here, Boch. And Boch is like, okay, what can we do to try to change this? I know he's frustrated. Everyone there is frustrated. It's not like, Ecker, the offensive coordinator, isn't frustrated. The players are frustrated. Everyone's frustrated. So I don't know. I don't know. I never understood making changes in the middle of the season. You hired that guy at the beginning of the season because you believed in him. You've had this guy around for years because you believed in him. He didn't change his stripes. He didn't do something different. Guys aren't playing well. It sucks. It sucks as a player. It sucks.
Hitting coaches, what is it, like a year and a half is the average lifespan of a hitting coach in Major League Baseball? Like, they're just the easy scapegoat. And it's to me, it's a lazy thing, but it's something that all teams do. Look, the Rockies don't even care about winning, and they fired Bam Bam Hensley.
So the Rangers are 17-18 on the season, and the Mariners, who just took them down in a series this weekend, are 20-13. Got the A's playing pretty good ball. I know it was the Marlins this weekend, but the A's are playing pretty good ball right now at 19-16 on the year. Astros are probably always going to hang around, right? 17-16, and then there's Texas at 17-18 in fourth place. The Angels are a mess right now. We talked plenty about them last week. Is there a high level of concern for a sexy World Series pick and a team that many thought would do some damage in the AL West, or too early.com, AJ?
Until you get your team back, until you get Seager back, I can't just say like it's too early. But their pitching has been really good. The thing is, they need to score runs. But until they get Seager back and plug him in the middle of the order, Langford's been good for him. Smith has been good for him. They got to get their full lineup back, but they need them back sooner rather than later because the division is not getting any easier, especially the way Seattle's playing and the way Seattle's swinging the bat.
I would say it's not going to get easier either because every team you're playing, besides the Angels right now, are going to give you a battle. So you're not, if you get 4 games back, 5 games back, before you could run into the A's, you could run into the Angels, and they were playing brutal, and you could get 5 of 6. Now teams, you got a battle to be able to get 4 of 6 even, to win 2 series in a row, and you can't get too far behind. Not a super level of concern yet, but because they're hovering at 500. But this division right now, the way it seems, everyone's kind of playing and going to be able to beat up on each other. So you just can't let it get too big of a lead.
Man, I know he's streaky as hell always. They got to get Jock Peterson going. They got to get him on a heater again. That would help.
What happened to Adolis Garcia? What happened to him? 2 years ago, he was hitting homers on everything. Now, what happened? Where'd it go? That's the question. Josh Young can't stay healthy. Maybe they should have kept Nathaniel Lowe. I don't know. These are all questions you can ask, but until they figure it out, we can keep asking them.
And it's too early to make trades for the most part. Not going to make any significant trades yet. We're going to talk about trades later. Go ahead, Kratz. Last word. And then we're going to get to the other big story of the weekend. Go ahead.
No, just that you have to be able to know your personnel. And this early in the season to make changes, they brought in Peterson and Jake Berger to hit heaters. Even Higashioka, who plays on kind of a backup role, guys that could hit heaters, and yet they haven't. So where is that adjustment that needs to be made? And I also think Marcus Semien needs to step up too. You can't just wait on Seager to come back all the time. I think he's a guy that needs to be a huge piece of this lineup.
Yeah, from what I recall, he wasn't great last year either. How old is Marcus? You got to start playing that game.
34.
32? 33?
34. Just turned
34.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll be 35. No, sorry. He'll be 35 sooner than later.
Just saying. Father time starts to slow you down. It does. It's real. It happens to them all.
How many more years does he have
on that contract?
Till 28. So he's got 4, including this season.
Yeah. He's got some time. Yes, I was just counting. 4 years left, including this season. But superstar levels, I don't know. Also, super durable. I mean, played almost every game for the majority of his career. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to age well. It's just how the game is played. Guys get to their mid-30s, and sometimes, it falls off a cliff. I mean, Jock Peterson might be going through that right now because he can't catch up to a heater. So anyway, there's a lot to figure out for the Rangers. I think we've exhausted it. So let's make sure we hit the Red Sox. Chris Cotillo is going to join us. We're going to go over, what is a tough weekend for them losing Triston Casas and the aftermath. How are they going to replace him at first base? That's next. Trevor, I need caffeine every day. And for me, it's cold, not hot. So I go cold brew. I've been a Trade coffee customer for a long time now. I don't want to go to the grocery store and get the concentrate. Can you deliver me the kit, please?
Absolutely. Trade can do that for you. Who wants to get the concentrate at the store anyways? You don't even know when that stuff was made, when you can just set it, forget it at home, and have more cold brew coffee than you can ever hope for. I love doing that. It's a fun little activity also, and Trade allows you to do it.
Yes, they hook you up with the best beans specifically for cold brew from top roasters across the U.S. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S. for both hot and cold coffee drinkers. For a limited time, they're giving away a free Hyeseong cold brewer when you sign up for a cold brew subscription when you go to drinktrade.com/foul. That's drinktrade.com/foul to get your free cold brew maker with select cold brew subscriptions. That's drinktrade.com/foul. Cheers. Hey, let's talk Royals, Orioles. Give me 2 minutes there, AJ, because then we'll talk to Jim Bowden later about what the Orioles could do to turn their season around. But Kansas City looked like the better team this weekend.
Kansas City did look like the better team. They hit a ton of homers. Listen. The biggest problem with the Orioles, we just talked about with Texas, they're banged up, and they're starting to talk to Grayson, friend of the show, talk to Brandon Hyde, talk to some other guys, Tyler O'Neill. They got to get these guys back. They need Eflin back. They're missing Kittredge. They got to get their guys back, but that's not going to help them hit left-handed pitching. I watched Chris Bubich just shove against them. 5 innings, rain delay and all. And then they brought in another lefty, Lynch the fourth, Lynch IV, and he went out and shoved until they got to, Ursig, and I forget who even closed it out. But it was just they really had no chance. There wasn't even hard contact. Gunnar had a couple of hits, but there wasn't a lot of hard contact off lefty. They just looked out of sync. The Royals look good, but then how much of that is the Orioles pitching and where they're at? So it's an interesting time for both franchises. I think the Royals have a shot to make the playoffs because they're pitching, their bullpen. I mean, when you talk to Matt Quatraro, it is like he's just so calm and everything is great. And then even Brandon Hyde, I know he's taking some heat right now, but it's not his fault they're so banged up. They just got to get healthy and get right.
I mean, the Royals hit a franchise record 7 home runs off the Orioles. So that ain't the manager's fault. Here comes Chris Cotillo, MassLive.com Red Sox beat reporter, joining us right now. Chris, good to see you, although tough news for the Red Sox as far as their lineup and their depth. What did you think of the Triston Casas injury and the aftermath here on how they're going to replace him? Let's just get right to biz, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a horrible thing for him. This is a guy that I think a lot of people identified as a guy going into not necessarily a make or break season, but definitely a big one, right? This guy has all the talent in the world. The Red Sox view him as a guy who can give them 30, 40 homers in the middle of their lineup. And he had a really weird injury last year that cost him a lot of the season. And now this is going to cost him 5 months of it. So I think it starts there. We'll obviously get into the replacement options and all the craziness and the potentials with Devers and the top prospects and maybe Anthony Rizzo and all that stuff. But really, I think just this is a guy who could not afford to have this happen. It's, people always wonder like, oh, is it the torn ACL or what is it? Like, this injury might be worse. It's ruptured patellar tendon, very, very serious. He had surgery yesterday, and it's a long recovery. It's going to be a brutal one for him. At 25, obviously, there's a lot of his story yet to be told, but I think just on a human basis, and especially, for a guy who is so talented, just a brutal one for the Red Sox, for him, for everybody.
Is there any, before we get on to other guys playing other positions, is there any other players recently that have had a ruptured patella tendon? It feels like that's more of a football type of injury from what I was looking at. So, like, recovery-wise, do we have any even timeline or, like, prognosis of how much this will linger for him?
Yeah, I looked it up. I did the quick Google search, and I think Edwin Diaz, when he got hurt in the WBC, I think that's what it was. not 100% sure. It's Mr. Cotillo, not doctor. So, but I just think it's one of those things that you do see with, offensive linemen. You see that with like a lot of offensive linemen have it happen. Patriots had a guy, Cole Strange, who had it happen too, because, it's the planting and obviously those big bodies. But this is not something you see from a guy running down the first base line. Like he did it before he hit the base. He was trying to avoid Ty France running down the line on a dribbler and just like took an awkward step running at full speed, trying to beat it out. And, the tendon completely, ruptured, snapped, whatever you want to call it. It's a gruesome one. I think, when a guy's stretchered off and there's that amount of concern right then, as there was, it looked bad and it turned out being that way. So nothing minor at all.
Are you surprised at how much Alex Cora was just staunch in his approach that Rafael Devers is not going to be playing first base? Like, even before the injury, I'm pretty sure his quote was, he will not play in the field this year. And then after the injury, he doubled and tripled down on it. Are you surprised at that in the sense of how he approached it and not like, hey, we're open, we'll see?
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox, I think, as a lot of these teams do now, like they take the we're open to anything, we're open-minded approach all the time. We talked to Breslow like 5 minutes before we talked to Cora the other day, and he was asked that question. And he said, we haven't ruled anything out. We would not rule Devers out. It's not like he said, oh, we're going to try that. And 5 minutes later, we go up to do the Cora pregame presser, and he said, from my end, no, we're not going to do this. We asked him to be the DH. He didn't like it, but he came around. He's hitting well now. He's hitting rockets all over the field. Like, let's just keep him where he is. And I think that's kind of the organizational take, that they're having some self-awareness that, we just, in their mind, they just got through basically kind of a big storm with Devers. I think people thought it was a media creation and stuff. I think people thought it was just controversy for controversy's sake, but he was really upset with how it went down when they moved him off third base to DH. I don't think they handled it behind the scenes, being upfront with him about the Bregman pursuit, about the Arenado pursuit, and what it would mean. Cora even said publicly Bregman could be a Gold Glove second baseman. That was kind of a smokescreen. And then, when it did happen in spring training, he was not very happy about it, as everybody knows. He came around, tensions cooled, and he's been, pretty good. I think that, the way he's hitting the ball hard, the way he's taking walks, he's really coming into that DH role after a very bizarre start where his timing was off for those first few days. So I think that they're sticking with that just because they kind of have the awareness that, like, hey, this was a big ask. This was an earth-shaking move in Devers' career. He came around. We're in a good spot with him. Let's not, upset the apple cart, whatever the phrase is again. I think the wild card in this is if Devers walks into Cora's office and says, hey, I like playing the field and I think I could do this. Let's start working me out at first base. If he does that, if he initiates it, I think all bets are off. But at this point, they're sticking with at least yesterday and Saturday, and probably for tomorrow, rain pending against Texas, Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro, and they're assessing from there.
Why would Devers do that though? They've been so adamant about him. I wouldn't do that if I was Rafi Devers. I'd be like, you need me to play first, you come to me. I mean, Alex Cora has been adamant. No, he's never going to play the field, basically. Like, if I'm Rafi Devers, I'm like, I'm just getting comfortable. No, I'm not doing it. Why would I? You guys treated me this. There's no reason for him to do that. Be like, I'm the DH. You guys figure out the rest.
Yeah, I think I completely agree that it's his right to, if he wants to have that stance, that is totally within bounds. And I agree, probably the way that I would personally approach it if I had any athletic talents whatsoever. With him, like, there is a chance, though, that he has this chip on his shoulder thing where he wants to prove that he can play the field because he liked it so much at third and was so, worked really hard at it. And the results with the errors and stuff didn't always bear out, but he, was a guy that worked tirelessly with the infield staff, all that type of stuff. It was a big piece of his routine, his day-to-day, obviously. I think there's a world in which he says, like, hey, like, I want to do this. Maybe not. We've tried to ask him a couple times the last couple of days. He's decided that he doesn't want to take the questions right now, again, within his rights. And as I tweeted yesterday, not a big deal. So I don't know where he stands on this. And I don't know where Breslow stands on it, but we do know Cora doesn't want to do it. And I think that was pretty interesting.
What's the real plan then? I mean, are they going with Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro for the rest of the season, or at least until the trade deadline? I mean, We're going to host a Baseball America Hot Sheet show later on and talk about this. So I'd like to ask you as well. Roman Anthony is pretty damn good. It looks like he could hit in the big leagues right now. It's a very competitive division, and you want to make sure if you're the Red Sox, you get back in the playoffs. It has not been good times the last few years. He is capable of playing first base. It sounds like they already shot that down as well. Why?
Yeah, I just think with Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, these guys are so young and they want them developed at their positions. On the defensive side, Marcelo's pretty good and Anthony's made strides in the outfield. They moved him to all three spots. I think that, with guys that are that good, even when they hit tools, probably big league ready, like they don't want to add another wrinkle to the development right now and have them play a position that neither of them have, really at any level. Maybe in the future, maybe they have this conversation down the line. I think, where those guys fit in, I think there's 0% chance either of them play first base for the Red Sox this year. I do think there are ways where the Red Sox could, figure something out. It's a little hard when you look at who they have in the outfield. But, is there a world in which Christian Campbell gets to first? Kind of the same thing we're just talking about, right? Like he's a top prospect, even though he's been in the big leagues for a month. Do they want to add another position to him? Maybe not. But maybe Marcelo Meyer comes up and plays short and Trevor Story goes to first. Like I wouldn't rule that fully out. Right now it's Romy and Toro, and I think they are looking at that opt-out market. Last year Casas went down and they got Garrett Cooper and Dom Smith to platoon. I don't think that options like that are really premier options for them just because they know now, unlike they did last year, that Casas will be out the rest of the year. They didn't know when he was going to come back. And also this team has designs on, really contending and hopefully for them being among the best teams in the AL. And so the ceiling is higher. So therefore the ceiling should be higher on who they replace Casas with, higher than Dom Smith and Garrett Cooper. And Dom Smith was okay. I think the wild card here, and you guys might know the situation better than I do, is Anthony Rizzo. I don't know if he has interest in playing at this point. I don't know if the Red Sox have interest in bringing him in. If he's going to demand a major league deal with a $4 or $5 million salary, I could doubt that they would do it. But if he is going to take a minor league deal, something he said earlier that he didn't want to do, maybe they bring him in, see what he has left in the tank, his original organization he was drafted by. Maybe that's your bridge to the trade deadline. I don't know. I mean, I think that everything is on the table, but I do, as you said, find it hard to believe that Gonzalez and Toro are the options for the next, 5 months. I just don't see that being the case. Right now, I think they need a solution to get them to the trade deadline at minimum and then address it from there. Or, that kind of drastic Devers thing, or, maybe Rizzo comes in as good. Who knows? But it's a position where they definitely didn't have that much depth, like Romy was playing when Casas wasn't, starting against lefties at AAA. They've worked Vaughn Grissom out there. He's only played 4 or 5 games just in an effort to get some more depth. So, the injury is obviously brutal for Casas chiefly and for the Red Sox lineup, but it's also at a position where they just don't have bodies.
Well, you mentioned bodies. Go ahead, Kratz.
Sorry, AJ. I was just going to say, getting offense at first base, I feel like there's offense to be had. This team's defense is not very good, and first base is a cornerstone. Would it be easier for them to find defense and not forego offense? But ultimately, if your first baseman isn't good, your infielders stink too, because normally you have a really good first baseman when your infielders win Gold Gloves because they're picking stuff. Is that a route that they're willing to go to, or are they just thinking, you know what, if we can find any kind of offense or just a warm body over there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the defense part of it is very, very important. That's the reason, one of many, but one of the big ones, that they went out and got Bregman and moved Devers, because their infield defense has not been very good for a long time. Second base has been a revolving door. Story has been hurt, so they've had to have these constant, fill-ins at short too. But Devers is always, near the league lead in errors, as hard as he does work at it. So I think, installing Bregman and Story, a very professional, at times elite left side there, I think was important to them, because they knew that Campbell, there might be a learning curve at second. He settled in and been okay. And Casas, the big body and, an okay amount of major league experience now, I think they were okay with, but, we're always looking for ways to improve. So I think it's an important piece of it. They weren't getting a ton from Casas offensively already. I think that they thought he was going to go on a big heater and be, really good, as things heated up here. But at this point, it's almost a beggars can't be choosers thing, right? Like, it's May 5th. This is not a time where you can go out and get, a lot in the way of options that are out there. Big trades usually aren't made. So I think, they're going to have to, it's not going to be a perfect solution, whatever it is, right? And guys are going to have to move around. If one of these top prospects was a first baseman, it would be perfect. Other than that, there's just not one.
AJ, you good? You back?
Yeah, I was never gone.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. All right. What about? Do you think there's external options that could be in play here as well, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, Rizzo's the one that sticks out just because he is available. And again, I don't know about his situation. So, but a guy who's obviously a pro, a guy who's a lot of big market experience, championship pedigree. Like I said, a guy who the Red Sox originally drafted. They traded in the Adrian Gonzalez trade years ago. So maybe that, again, it's tough to make a trade on May 5th. The Padres did it with Arraez last year. Other than that, you don't really see those blockbusters go down now. So I'm sure they're calling teams and seeing who's out there, but you're going to have to pay a premium. So, like I said, a bridge that gets them to the trade deadline to where they can really address it might make the most sense. But I think they're open to really anything other than Anthony or Meyer moving to first on a whim.
All right, let's move to Walker Buehler. We haven't really covered that one yet either. So what do you know about his injury?
Yeah, he talked yesterday for the first time since going down, and he was really upbeat and really pretty sure that it's nothing major at all. He said he learned from Max Scherzer when they were teammates in LA that if you can't throw through the ball, then it's not something you can pitch through. And his last 3 starts, even though he's been pretty good, he's had a really good 4-start stretch. He just didn't feel like he was, delivering at the level where he was comfortable. And he said he had a shoulder thing that no one ever talked about. It was never public before. That was a grade 3 tear in his shoulder years ago. And this felt similar. So he was really terrified and worried it was something serious. But the MRI showed bursitis. He is going to be back throwing today. He hopes to miss just 2 or 3 starts. And this is a guy who, talk about an X factor for the Red Sox. If you can pencil in Crochet being really, really good every 5 days, they need a number 2 to step up. Buehler, Bello, and Houck all in that mix. Houck has not been great to start the year. Buehler's been up and down. Bello, was hurt. So they need somebody to be that number 2. Buehler's obviously the guy with the most experience of that group. And I think a guy who has, plenty to prove this year on a 1-year deal. So he wants to be back sooner rather than later. And I would guess, somewhere around May 15th, May 20th, he will be.
Chris, we're going to get to something a little bit more positive, actually a lot positive. Huge signing in the offseason with Alex Bregman. Could he have done anything more coming in on the contract that he came in on than he's done so far?
No, it's been unbelievable. I mean, home, road. He had a couple of errors the first couple of weeks that put him in a bad spot. Maybe that'll be the negative option there. But offensively, this is a guy who's always started slow. His OPS is way lower in March/April than it is in all the other months of his career historically. It's been a thing in Houston. It's something Scott Boras even brought up in the introductory presser in Fort Myers. But he has been incredible. Big hits, run producer, homers, wearing out the monster, a stabilizing force at third, clubhouse leader, all that stuff. I mean, it's going to be, fascinating with the opt-out decision at the end of the year. But he has, if he, plays well enough where he does opt out, the Red Sox will be in a good spot because that'll mean that he produced all year. He's, showed no signs of slowing down. And he's a guy that's just been excellent, especially offensively. I think some of the cold weather games he didn't love on the defensive side of things. It was 35 degrees at first pitch one night, but he's been, a lot better the last few weeks. And he's been, if the $40 million a year, I know it's deferred, but that looks like an underpay.
What is the history with the Red Sox not letting him get to free agency? Finish the job that they did when they went out and got him, and they went 40 a year. Yes, deferred, but 40 a year. Hey, you're making a big commitment. It seemed like the Red Sox were all in. You went and got Crochet. You gave up a few, some of your prospects. Why would they pull back if he's done what he's done? I know he's a Boras client. Boras clients don't extend very often, except Boras clients that go to free agency and don't quite get what they want. Are the Red Sox inclined or ever in a position to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have kind of a crowded infield mix already. So I think it depends on, the long-term future of where they see Marcelo Meyer playing. They are going to have Trevor Story under contract. He has an opt-out, but that's going to be tough to see him exercising that. He had a great couple weeks. He's been very slow the last couple. So they do have a lot of infield options. If Story is still there and they can't trade him and they want to keep him around, then that, clogs up one spot for a couple of years. You have Campbell probably as the long-term first baseman. Obviously, I would have said Casas is your long-term first baseman 5 days ago. Now it's, going to be a long recovery. So who knows at the end of that, just because they moved Devers to DH for this year, he's still going to be, a pretty young player as of next year, and he could move back there. So there's just a lot up in the air, I think, when it comes to the infield. And they have, Meyer, I think, is the key to all of it when he does come up. So at the end of the year, I'm not saying there's not going to be a need for a guy like Alex Bregman if he's producing like this. Of course there is. And of course, leadership-wise, the swing fits Fenway. It's a perfect fit in a lot of ways, but it's a crowded mix. There's going to be tough decisions that are going to be made there, position player-wise. Obviously, they have too many outfielders too. So we'll see where it goes. They have a lot of talented players. It's just about making the pieces work together, which is something they have not done for a long time. And I think that's going to be a focus moving forward.
Chris, thanks for swinging by, man. You're the best. Appreciate it. And everyone check out Chris's work, masslive.com. Plus, you can follow all of the action with him on Twitter at Chris Cotillo, Cotillo. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Appreciate it. All right, FT fam. We also want to remind you, Monster Territory was all over this story with Robbie Hyde. There was him with Alex Cora when they had their offseason conversation, but he's on after every single Red Sox game. He's on for breaking news as well. Also, make sure to check out Chris Cotillo has a show as well. You can see that in his bio. Jim Bowden is ready to go. He'll join us next. If you want to be bougie and have your own personal shopper, Hungry Root is actually the spot, and you can do it at an affordable price.
Yeah, without a doubt. And especially with my busy schedule with kids on the run all the time, baseball, gymnastics, I need a source that's going to get me going and my kids as well. So I'll pop in an easy chicken parm or grilled chicken, put it in a nice container, get it to go, and the kids are excited, and they're full, and they're nutritional, and it's ready to rock for their games.
There will be snacks that you have never heard of that you will immediately fall in love with. They will pick them out for you if you want. Obviously, you can go on there. You pick all of your preferences. Hungry Root gets the job done. Okay, FT fam? We love Hungry Root. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life at hungryroot.com/FT. That's code FT. hungryroot.com/FT. Code FT for 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. The code is simple. It's 2 letters, FT. I will say this. I mean, it's easy to look back, but if the Red Sox had an opportunity to, say, trade for a Mariners pitcher and give away a Triston Casas, I mean, they should have done it. We don't know the injury history, but I'm even pointing to the fact that in the first month of the season, AJ, I mean, he was really struggling at the plate.
Yeah, he was. And he struggled last year too. That was one of the question marks. And what would he do? Would he be able to bounce back? And he didn't show it this year. And then you never want to see anybody get injured. Injuries are the worst thing that can happen to anybody. Just a terrible, terrible injury. But is this the end for Triston Casas in Boston? That's the question. I mean, he's getting into ARB eligible now. And after 2 years basically not being able to play, you have to start asking the question, is this it for him in Boston? And we don't know, but they got to find a solution at first base. I don't think Anthony Rizzo's the answer. He hasn't played. He's probably not even ready to go. He won't take a minor league deal, so that's not an option. Let's stop with that, Chris. We love you, but that's not an option. And then they got to figure it out. I don't know who the answer is. Do they go get Andrew Vaughn from the White Sox or someone like that? Bobby Dahlbeck was just DFA'd from the White Sox. I don't know. I'm just thinking of names that you could try there because they need somebody. Romy Gonzalez and Toro, I don't think are the answer either. So what are the Red Sox going to do? Because they've made this push to be a team that can compete, but you need a first baseman.
Maybe that's why they didn't want to get rid of Triston Casas. They didn't have another first baseman. They didn't feel like it was a position that they had depth in. Jake Berger, he's in AAA. Go see if they can trade for him for his 6th time in 5 years.
I would put Roman Anthony up first. Also, by the way, Casas with the glove really took a big step back. So they'll have a decision to make. Oh yeah, our resident GM is back for Front Office Unfiltered. It is Jim Bowden, and I love having you on a day like today because JB, I look forward to these articles as much as anything. Trade season can never come early enough, even if GMs and president of baseball ops guys don't know it yet. So let's get this started, okay? On The Athletic this morning, it comes out 5 MLB trades. Yes, a little music from AJ for me too. 5 MLB trades I'd like to see in May, including deals for Ryan Helsley and Joe Ryan. So I would like to start with Ryan Helsley. Where would you like to see him go, and what does the deal look like?
Yeah, I'd like to see him go to the Philadelphia Phillies, Scotty. Look, Dave Dombrowski came on my Sirius XM radio show a week ago and said, look, his biggest need is a right-handed reliever to better balance the bullpen. The Jordan Romano experiment hasn't worked great. And look, Helsley's an impact closer. He's one of the best in baseball. Philadelphia has a chance to win their division. They have a chance to win the World Series if they get to the playoffs. And that's an area that is their biggest weakness right now is the bullpen. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to see them trade one of their top pitching prospects, Mick Abel, to the St. Louis Cardinals, straight up for Ryan Helsley. Now, when you look at the Phillies, look, their rotation is 7 deep. Their best pitching prospect is Andrew Painter. He's not getting traded. But Mick Abel has kind of turned the corner this year. His command and control is finally arriving. That's usually the last thing that does arrive for a power pitcher like Abel. And for St. Louis, it's building for the future. This is exactly the kind of trade they need to make. Now, if you're Dave Dombrowski, you might want to have a window to try to sign Helsley at the time of the deal. But this is the kind of concept, to me, works right now for the rebuilding Cardinals and for the Phillies who have a chance to win.
What, as a GM, I'm putting you in Dave Dombrowski's shoes right now. You don't want to bid against other teams, but you also don't want to bid against yourself. How do you make sure that the price that you're paying is not an overpay? Because you even said it in your article, this is why GMs don't want to make these moves at this time because it costs more. So how do you facilitate that yourself? Or do you go into it and you say, you know what, there's a price I'm paying, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong?
Yeah, I think, Erik, what you do before you start any negotiation in terms of trades is you know how far you're willing to go, and you kind of have a pretty good idea when you're going to walk away. And so if I'm the Phillies, I'm going to go into this thing. I'm not trading Andrew Painter, right? I'm not trading Aiden Miller. I'm going to try not to deal Justin Crawford as well. And I'm going to see, first of all, if I can make a deal for Helsley by using my lower prospects, maybe the mid-level, maybe guys that are in the 8 to 12 range, see if that bites. But if they come back and they ask for the Millers or they ask for the Painters or they come in with like that, then I'm going to sit there and know how far I'll go at the end of the day. I might not go to Mick Abel right away, but I'll continue the discussion. And if I feel like when I entered the discussions that that's as far as I would go and I would not do more and that's it, then I would kind of figure out when the timing is right to put my best offer on the table. If it doesn't work, fine, we'll work on trading for the next closer, right? But that's basically how it works.
Jim, one of the interesting ones for me is the Orioles with Joe Ryan. You have them getting Joe Ryan from the Twins for Cade Povich, Kobe Mayo, and Michael Ferret. Now, does this fix the Orioles' offensive problem against left-handed pitching? It helps their pitching staff, obviously, but it doesn't help them against left-handed pitching. So I get why you would make this trade if you're the Twins, but they still think they're in it. So I don't know. This is one of those, it's like, will either team be willing to do this? Because it's almost, if you're the Twins, you're almost planning for next year.
Yeah, well, I think the Orioles are planning for next year, too, if you want my honest opinion here. I mean, look, Corbin Burns is in Arizona. Grayson Rodriguez is on the injured list with a shoulder. Kyle Bradish is on the injured list. Zach Eflin's on a rehab assignment. They're hoping to get him back. Trevor Rogers looks like he's never going to bounce back. He's on the IL. Tyler Wells is on the IL. Dean Kramer has an ERA close to 6.5. Cade Povich has an ERA over 5 after 6 starts. Kyle Gibson has a 14 ERA after 2 starts. Charlie Morton has a 9.7 ERA and is in the bullpen and probably should be released. And so you've got Sagano and Eflin, and that's it. You're not going anywhere. And you do have this great group of young position players, but you have to build a starting rotation in Baltimore. So if I had to sit there and I had an opportunity to go get a Joe Ryan or a Pablo Lopez from Minnesota, that's what I need to do. Because if I'm going to win next year, I need to build the top of the starting rotation. You didn't replace Burns. Rodriguez got hurt. To me, that's the biggest hole. Now, to your point, Look, I have a philosophical difference with what the Orioles have been doing, right? I think they've kept their prospects too long. I don't think they traded the prospects they were supposed to help the major league team win. I thought in the offseason when they went out and got Tyler O'Neill and Gary Sanchez and Ramon Laureano and tried to get these guys to help them against left-handed pitching, what they did was they blocked their prospects. I don't want to block them. I want to give them a runway, a pathway, and develop them. The other thing I have to look at is why do all my big league young hitters, why are they all underperforming? Why is Adley Rutschman hitting .213? And why does Jackson Holliday finally get rid of the big leg kick and go to a toe tap? Because he's watching Ohtani on TV. Where am I hitting people fixing this? So look, I'm looking at the Orioles, and they've done a good job of drafting. They've done a good job of gathering talent, but they haven't done a real good job of GMing and building a team that should be a postseason team by now. They've got some work to do. So in this trade, you trade Kobe Mayo. Yes, he's got 25 home run power, but he chases breaking balls out of the strike zone. Cade Povich, I like him, but he's not Joe Ryan. He might be developed into a mid-rotation starter. And I think Ferret would be a key to Minnesota to kind of make it work for them. But again, if I'm Baltimore, I'm obsessed with improving the top of the rotation for this year and going forward.
Jim, there's a lot of heat on Brandon Hyde. We discussed it last year. Does firing a manager in the middle of the season, does it change anything? And what's the thought process from a GM standpoint of why would I make this change? Brandon Hyde's been through the low times. Now he's in the high times. He hasn't changed his message. He hasn't changed. So why would I want to make a change in the middle of the year?
Yeah, great question. And I'm going to give you my answer. My answer as a GM is I don't like firing a manager mid-season. But if I do, I always have to take the position is your team better do better after you make it, or it's on you. It's on you. If you make a change and you don't start winning and the team doesn't go in a better direction, then it's on the GM and it's not on the manager. There are some times where a different voice is needed. I had a very mediocre team that was about a 500 team, and it was underperforming under Ray Knight, who was the manager at the time. And Ray Knight had our clubhouse very intense. They were very uptight. Pitchers were looking at him. If they'd go 2-0, they'd look in the dugout to see what his reaction was going to be like. And I didn't have a contending team, but I sat there and said, look, if I make a managerial change here, this team's going to do better. We're going to be more competitive. We're going to end the year on a positive note. I brought in Jack McKeon. I fired Ray Knight, and our team played over 500 the rest of the way, and it made a difference. So again, I don't like in-season changes, but if you do it, it's got to make a difference. Now, when I look at Baltimore, and look, I've been vociferous. I've given you my opinion. Yeah, I would make a managerial change. And it's nothing against Brandon Hyde. He's taken them to the playoffs the last 2 years. I respect him. But I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like the fact that my young players aren't developing and getting better and living up to my expectations. And sometimes it takes a different voice to be able to make an impact. So, maybe Brandon Hyde loses this job and he gets the next job and does better. Look at all the Hall of Fame managers that got fired, right? Joe Torre, Jim Leland, Tony La Russa. They all lost jobs and they're Hall of Fame managers. Bobby Cox, same thing. He got fired, Hall of Famer. It's sometimes you just need a different voice. I don't like the direction of Baltimore, and I think change needs to be to matter.
Jim, if you had pitchers that were looking into the dugout for a manager's reaction, I think you had some soft pitchers. But that's not to be discussed here or there. We're talking about GM stuff. To me, your most slam dunk trade is Nolan Arenado to the Tigers, because the Tigers made a huge run at Alex Bregman. But it doesn't matter. If you swing for the fences and hit one to the wall, it's still a miss. It's still an out. To me, if they don't do this to absolutely improve the third base position, it would be 2 swings and misses in one season at one position for the Tigers.
Yeah, Eric, I agree. And look, keep in mind, though, the Tigers offered Bregman the most years and the most dollars, and he went to Boston, and that's not their fault. In terms of Arenado, look, this is not easy because his contract is atrocious. And so to make a deal for Arenado, it's how much can we get the Cardinals to eat? We know the Rockies are already paying $5 million each year, but how much more will St. Louis pay? That's the key. I think making a trade for him is easy. St. Louis would like to move on from Arenado, let the young kid, Nolan Gorman, take over third base, see what he looks like on an everyday basis. They're a rebuilding team. And I think if you're Arenado, even though Detroit wasn't a place you wanted to go to, you have to look at the Tigers right now and understand this is a playoff team. This is a really good team, and he would make a difference on this team defensively for sure. And, when you look at the ballpark numbers, it's actually a little bit different than you think. I mean, it does work for pull right-handed hitters down the line, and they've got those good left-hand hitters in Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter. I think it'd be a great fit for Nolan Arenado. So I think he would waive his no trade. I think this is a deal that just makes too much sense for both St. Louis and Detroit.
JB, I'm going to take us to the Rangers. That offense has been abysmal, and you have Luis Robert helping to provide a spark. I don't go crazy over his numbers because he is the most classic change of scenery guy of all time right now. I mean, he is an absolute abyss. Do you feel the same way, and do you think this could make a big difference from them as they just basically cut Leody Taveras?
Yeah, look, he needs to get out of Chicago. By the way, he has hit well. If you look at the last 2 weeks, he's really turned it on. And a couple of years ago, we saw 38 homers and 20 steals, and we see him make catches all the time over the wall, bringing home runs back. I think he'd be energized if he got to go to a different environment, a more competitive spot. I would love to put his locker next to Marcus Semion's. I think that'd be a really good place. I know, he's one of these lightning rods trade guys where teams a little bit worried because he looks disinterested at times. We can't really argue with, the power and the speed, can't really argue with the leather, the inconsistency we can get upset with, and at times he looks lackadaisical, which bothers GMs, but the talent's there. And when we look at all the position players that are going to be traded between now and the deadline, Luis Robert's going to be one of the top guys being dealt. And there's a lot of places that he fits really well. He fits in Seattle, who've lost Victor Robles with an injury. I think he fits in Philadelphia because I think Schwarber and Harper, if you put him in between those two lockers, I think they'd get the most out of him. I think Cincinnati would be a really good fit. Kansas City would be a good fit. So there's a lot of spots where I think Luis Robert works. But for the Texas Rangers, Evan Carter was supposed to be the center fielder. He hasn't hit a breaking ball yet. He's had the autoimmune injury. He's had some problems with the back. And so that's been an issue. They just put Leody Taveras on outright waivers. They've got Josh Smith playing center, who's better in that utility role. So I just think there's a really good fit in center field for the Texas Rangers. And I think, their prospect, the cabinet's pretty big. And I think there's a pretty good fit there with some guys that I think Chris Getz would like left-handed pitcher Cole Drake and outfielder Dylan Drilling would be two guys that would fit well. So I think that would be a good fit for Texas.
But it's so much up and down. You don't know what you're going to get with Luis Robert. Like, as a GM, how are you convincing yourself that this is going to go well? Because, I went out and got the best player that I possibly could get. It's not my fault he didn't show up for these 3 weeks when he first came in. Or is that not something that you just look at what the ceiling of it and you hope to not give away too much to get that?
No, what I'm going to do, and I'll give you a couple examples that I did in my career in the mid-'90s. I acquired catcher Benito Santiago and shortstop Tony Fernandez and moved Fernandez to third base. But we had some concerns similar to Robert with both of those guys. And then I went to Barry Larkin, who was our team leader. Lenny Harris was another guy that was a leader. And I kind of talked to them and I said, look, if I bring these guys in, can it work? Because, a bad apple can ruin the bunch, right? But if you get one or two and you have the right player leadership, it can work if the players are buying in. So, in Texas, I'm going to Marcus Semien, I'm going to Corey Seager, and I'm saying, hey, what are your thoughts on Luis Robert? What do you think about bringing him in? Here are some of the concerns that we have. What do you guys think? Do you think it would help? I mean, we got a problem in center field right now. We don't have one. So, I don't know what we're getting. We might hit a home run with this trade. We might hit a single. We might just strike out. But it seems like the price I have to pay, 2 top 15 prospects that are more in the 10 to 15 range, maybe makes sense here if we can get the White Sox to do it. And if Semien and Seager are buying in and they say, go do it, then yeah, that probably puts me over the top to make it.
All right, JB, there's 2 more things I want to hit. One is I actually want to go back to the Baltimore conversation. A lot of fans in our chat, and we like to react live here, are pretty frustrated with the way that the Orioles have made moves recently. You're getting the classic, hey, they hoarded prospects. I think that's like the simplistic way to look at it. But if we dive deeper into what went on here, AJ, and you were just in Baltimore, if you want to chime in too, I mean, we smashed the Orioles this offseason and really last year around the trade deadline. I know they got Eflin. I like that part, but the rest of it, this was their window. And I know now there's been development problems on top of that. But AJ, what are you seeing? And are you like me where I'm going, hey, Mike Elias was really pretty solid at taking the tanking and building it back up, but then doesn't know how to finish the job?
Yeah, it goes back to my question for this, Jim. The manager, you mentioned you'd fire the manager, but how much say so does does Brandon Hyde have in making the lineup? Like, we went in there and they can't hit lefties. Jackson Holiday doesn't play. I know O'Neill and Westberg are out, but Jackson Holiday doesn't play, right, against lefties. This is a knock on Jorge Mateo, but he plays. Why not let Jackson Holiday play every day and see what he can do? What's gone wrong with Adley Rutschman? Where this is a development issue, but like Scott said, is this on Mike Elias for not knowing how to put the finishing product on it? Because we can all hoard prospects, but at some point prospects got to become suspects and players in order to help you get over the top. And I look at the two big examples for teams, right? The Cubs and the Astros. They went through full rebuilds. What'd they do when they needed to? Justin Verlander to the Astros. John Lackey, John Lester, right? Those guys, they went out and got the finishing pieces, and it seems like Baltimore is trying to skip to the end without getting the pieces and doing the work they need to do. Now, I could be way off. You're a GM. You know better, but why is this all, Brandon Hyde, how much say does he have?
Well, AJ, you nailed it. I mean, honestly, 100% you nailed it. And Mike Elias did a really good job when he was with Houston, drafting Carlos Correa and George Springer in that group, right? He went to Baltimore. He did the same thing, but he's never proven that he can do the GM job. So he brought in great amateur talent. But since then, what have we seen, right? I did like the Corbin Burns deal. Unfortunately, they weren't able to extend them. They tried. But, we haven't seen enough aggressiveness on trying to win. The other thing that you mentioned, AJ, that has irritated me the most, and look, when I have Mike Elias on my radio show, I tell him directly the same thing I'm saying here. I don't like their idea of platooning players. I don't like it. I want a pathway and a runway, and I want players to develop. When I was a young executive, we would have guys in development that would sit left-handed hitters against left-handed pitching. And everybody around me kept saying, well, how are you ever going to develop a player to hit left-handed pitching if they never face him? So it's the same thing at the major league level. You get to the big leagues and you're facing pitching you've never seen before, and you see it for 9 innings. But how are you going to get better? You're only going to get better seeing these pitches, seeing the velocity, seeing the breaking ball, seeing the lefties, the righties, the different arm angles, the vertical break, the horizontal break. The more you see it, the better you get. So if you're Baltimore, what would be wrong with having Kauser, Mullins, and Kerstadt be in the outfield if you believe in them? Putting Mayo at first base, Holiday at second base, Gunnar Henderson at short, Westberg at third, Rutschman behind the plate, and say, you're playing every day. We're not going to go get these veteran older players to platoon, and we're going to let you develop, and we're going to find out how good you are. The other thing you have to do when you're in the GM seat is understand your prospects aren't as good as your own team rates them. And you got to figure out who the stars are and who the guys who have been overhyped and trade them before they get exposed to go get the pieces that you were just talking about, AJ, like John Lester, Bill Lackey, etc.
All right, last one. Well, if you're the GM, current GM in a big league team, and you find out that Major League Baseball hid the fact that they shrunk the zone a little bit, do you have any recourse? Do you have anything other than, all right, well, whatever. I guess it's just chalk it up to nothing we can do about it.
No, I mean, you pick up the phone, you call Commissioner Rob Manfred, and you say, what's going on? Like, how do we make this change? My manager knows nothing about it. Our players know nothing about it. And then the response we get back is, well, yes, we communicated. Wait a minute. This happens way too often. You might be communicating with some memo and some email that nobody sees, but if you're going to make a change at this level, we need transparency. We need to over-communicate. Everything we do like this, make sure Tony Clark and the Players Union knows it, and ask the Players Union to inform the players. You inform the players, then ask Tony Clark if he'll inform the players. Then you have to make sure the GMs and the managers are well aware of it, not based on some email or some passing comment. Look, when you're running an organization worth billions and billions of dollars, communication can't fall through the gap. It just can't happen.
Thank you. Yeah, we were going nuts on Friday. And then to say, oh, it happened No, it didn't happen because it's not even just players. It is team employees, as in managers.
True.
Some of the guys that have been around for a while, right? Dave Roberts, Mike Schilt. Do we think they're making that up, JB?
Nope.
Do we think that they would sit in a meeting and they would hear that and they would just be like, yeah, that's cool. Let me just take another sip of my drink.
They never heard it.
They never
Inexcusable.
heard it. Yeah.
Nope.
I can't believe that they haven't apologized or said something just as a blanket statement, which I think we all would have been okay with. Hey, our bad. We messed up on the comms. We're human.
Right.
There was a mistake. Let's let it go. The fact that it's so stubborn that it's like, no, we said something. I'm like, come on. So anyway, I'm with you there. JB, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
Great to have
guys.
you on.
Yeah, what's your
and everyone
sweatshirt
check
today?
out. Oh, what
What's
do
your
you got?
sweatshirt today?
Just your basic aloe.
Oh,
Nice.
you're downgrading. Nice. You should try a rowback.
Okay.
True.
saying.
Next week.
We'll send
Next
some. We'll send some. How about that? We'll send
All
you
right,
some,
cool.
JB.
Let's
We
go.
got you. Appreciate you. FT
Thanks.
fam
See
will
you
be
guys.
right back. Thanks, JB. Make sure you check out JB's article in The Athletic. There's another trade on there, too. It is complicated enough to figure out what type of car you want, but when it comes to pricing and best time to buy and all of that information that you're looking for, Car Gurus is the only destination that you should be thinking about, Kratz. Why?
Because I don't have to question what the price is. It's going to be there. If the price changes and comes down to where I want it to be, bang, I get a notification. Car Gurus is giving it to me straight, and this is how I want to purchase a car. Not fast. I just want to know what's going on.
With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus has more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the US. So you can find the best deal, and it's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. So you can buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com, cargurus.com. We have a fresh uniform to show off for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Graded. School style. AJ, what do you think?
That's an A+ because the Diamondbacks change uniforms like every year. And I love the Serpientes. And I also love the colors, man. Arizona's about bright colors, young, fast. We're going to put pressure on the other team. It's a perfect uniform for Corbin Carroll and those kids out there, man. Like, I dig this one. I really do. I dig this one.
I'm glad you feel that way. I really do feel the same way. I mean, I think there was the perfect dose, Kratz, of the color burst and creativity, but still teams are all trying to be a little bit safe, right? Which was fine. So I think they nailed it.
I don't think they went safe at all. I think they went full into the pool on this one, and I love the colors. I do want to know what AJ said. He kind of glossed over it. There's no team that changes uniforms more than the Diamondbacks. There can't be. I have not, like, they change in the last 10 years. I need to know who's changed uniforms or has the most different uniforms because these guys do it. But I love these. A+. A.
Yeah, I'll go A-. Just for me, to give you like an A or an A+, I need to see you do something that like we haven't seen, something super creative and out there. You know, something.
A basketball jersey?
Something like a basketball jersey. No. But we did see those this weekend. They looked okay. The White Sox Bulls jerseys. AJ's actions. AJ's words speak volumes on the reaction there. We've got a loaded Ump Show segment. We're going to start with Bill Miller going viral on Friday night. Foul Territory actually picked it up and picked up millions of views on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. So we can actually show you the little clip.
There was the
After review, the call on the field is overturned. The runner is out. Minnesota retains.
6-1.
Saw that too. God.
AJ, I shed a tear when I saw us post this because I want umps to care. You are a human being. He got it wrong. That was awesome. We caught a hot mic moment. Did you like it?
I thought it was great. I thought it was honest, and he's mad at himself for missing it. I mean, do I wish he would have used the curse words? No, but as someone that's been caught on a hot mic using a curse word before, you make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. So, Bill, good on you for doing this, and for just make sure you turn your mic off next time. But it was pure comedy, and it was also pure awesomeness because we got to see how you really felt. And like you said, he was right there, and he missed the call. And it's good to know that these guys are human, and they actually do care when they make mistakes.
That they actually do care is cool, and I like that part of it. Look, everybody makes mistakes. He didn't want to make mistakes, and so for anybody who thinks, "Oh, you're blowing the game. Oh, are you being paid?" Save that. These dudes are professionals. There's a reason they're at the level that they are, and he was definitely pissed at himself.
This is why access is important. So the more of this that we can get, the better. Again, yeah, are we going to have many umps leaving their mics on like that? No, but umps mic'd up where we can play it later on. Just more mic'd up players during a game. I like where it's mic'd up and then it gets packaged and then it gets played out, later on in the broadcast. Stuff like that to me is super cool. I'm all about that. People just want to hear what's happening on the field, umpires included. So quickly before we move on too, I mean, you guys both know Bill, right? AJ, he's been around for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Good dude.
He's fine. He's all right. He has his good days and his bad days. He can get grumpy at times, but I never really had a problem with him. What's his name? Brett Lowry had a problem with him when he hit him with his helmet. Remember that? Where he threw his helmet and it bounced off of him, and Bill Miller went down like something we can't say on TV.
He's quiet, and I think sometimes his quietness is seen as super grumpiness. But he's during the game, he's not a big chatty guy. But I never had any problems with Bill. He always had you could tell he always wanted to do well. Tighter zone.
Some people do have trouble focusing on multiple things at once. This isn't a knock on him. Like, he might just be one of those dialed in kind of guys, or maybe he's just not super talkative or social. But we did get just a money quote from him. And I think it actually makes umpires look really good when you hear something like this. Again, yeah, the cursing, sure. Do you want to catch that for the whole audience? You got the kids there. I get it. But the fact that, I mean, if you look at our replies, I think there's hundreds of replies on the post and people saying respect. This is what I want out of a big league umpire, the accountability, that stands out. In
Boston, though, two of the words that he said really aren't even curse words. Like, they had to bleep out but in Boston, the F word is just, that's actually on the chalkboard in most schools.
Yeah. Kindergarten or first grade, is it in the curriculum? When do they start?
First grade, because they learn it in cursive first. They learn how to do the F in cursive. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, let's move to someone who's using that word somewhat frequently when it comes to getting into it with an umpire, Max Scherzer, who's on the 60-day IL. So he's chilling right now, but he is very animated when games are going on. And CB Buckner was off the mark quite a bit. In the first 4 innings, he missed 11 calls. 9 of them went against the Blue Jays. So CB got trolled by Max. For those listening on the pod later on, he basically would flip a coin, AJ, a fake coin, and then be like, "Oh, heads? Okay, strike."
No, we used to do this all the time. We used to yell at umpires all the time. Flip a coin. It's just funny to see Max do it actually in the dugout. There was plenty of times where I would do this. I would do this to my bench. They'd be like, "Where was that?" And I'd literally go like this, and nobody knew what I was doing. And you'd come in, and they'd be like, "Oh, he's flipping a coin back there," and you're like, "Yep, it's going to be one of those days, boys. You never know." But yeah, there was many times where you just nobody knew what you were doing. It. They just happened to catch Max when he did it, and then he was like, there was many times where I would just look at the bench and go like this.
Yeah, just watch. When you see a catcher do something that's kind of out of ordinary, like, why is he touching his mask? Like, to me, that's the old, you get one of these here, and then you hear the manager go, "Come on, CB, let's go," because you can't tell in and out all the time. But if you just adjust your mask, then the bench knows that was a ball, and you don't have to be the one that argues it.
All right, now we're going to highlight some exceptional umpires from the weekend. Chris Cuccione stands out. This was an athletic play and an emphatic call. AJ, since you're our game broadcaster here consistently, would you like to give us the play-by-play of how perfectly executed this was.
Huh. Well, I mean, it was a nice hop. First of all, let's get over the hop right here. Good bunt, makes a play, jumps, and still gets the perfect execution of the out call. Some umpires are athletes. Joe West might have blown his knee out doing that because he might not have been able to get high enough. Joe, I love you. Love you, Joe, but I don't think you're jumping over him. Remember the play where Joe West got taken out at home plate? So, Gooch, good on you. You're good. And once, you're a good guy, Gooch, and that was the perfect Wendelstadt umpire school out call.
Ryan McMahon went friggin' for his legs. That was dicey. Some umps are going down and maybe breaking an ankle and getting the rest of the year off. Not Chris.
They got rid of that play that McMahon just had when they got the Buster Posey rule. They might need a Guccione rule. Did you see Guccione catch the pop-up yesterday too? That was epic.
No, I did not see that.
You need to check it out.
Okay, yep. Well, why didn't you text us
behind the dish? You have to go check it out.
Okay, well, you need to text me the clip next time if you're a good friend.
Why would he catch a pop-up?
Just saying. It was popped up. It was a fouled off the catcher's mitt mask, and he went running over and caught it.
Okay.
I need to see it. Lastly, Kratz, you can do the high check for us on this one. What was the score for our perfect game?
Oh, it wasn't quite perfect, but it was kind of perfect.
Close for Edwin Jimenez. Yeah.
Ed winning. You're Ed winning on this play. Edwin Jimenez,
perfect
younger
game?
umpire. That's what I'm not 100% sure, but
it's like Andres Galarraga's isn't a perfect game as much as it should be, but that's 99%. I don't understand how that we could call that a perfect game. We can't call that a perfect game. There's 2 missed calls.
You're right. I take that back. See, I'm accountable. Unlike MLB saying that, they told everybody about the zone evaluation thing and then just saying, no, we did. I'm actually going to take the L. This is how it works. Okay. Maybe someone's watching.
I'll actually take that game though from the umpire. Like that's a great called game. There's no complaints. He missed 2 and you're like, they were borderline, but still, for us to call it a perfect game, that's kind of, I don't know.
He's not. Mark Rippinger is still starting the first game of the World Series. He's our ace. Edwing is definitely getting game 2 or game 3, somewhere in there because of this outing. So great job, Edwing.
It was a complete game shutout, AJ, with like 1 hit allowed, something like that. It was an elite performance.
Not perfect.
It was great. It was a great game for him. He deserves credit for when you see this good of a game call, we deserve to call it out. Let's just not call it perfect.
Fair. Like I said, my bad. I take it back. This is how it works. This is, something that you learn, I think, in kindergarten along with the F-bomb. Anyway, we'll swing back and we'll go over the Blue Jays making some moves actually because of some starting pitching injuries, including a signing I've been talking about for a few months now that comes to fruition. So that's coming up on FT. FT fam, we're excited to introduce you to Rowback with the subtle dog logo and 2 stripes on the back of every product. Kratz, what are you rocking for us?
I'm rocking the polo, which never feel like a t-shirt until now. Out on the course, I'm going to stay cool, and as much as I sweat, I won't be wet.
Use the code FOUL on rowback.com for a generous 20% off your first purchase. That's FOUL on RHOBACK.com. 20% off all shirts, hoodies, polos, and more with the code FOUL. AJ, do you want to read this tweet from our friend, our teammate, Cam Maben, who was watching some White Sox ball this weekend?
Listen, I disagree. The White Sox are playing decently. They took 2 out of 3 from Houston. I think they've won their last 2 series. So, listen, I disagree. I think he just needs to get more engaged. That's it.
All right.
He was good a couple years ago. You don't have to be on a good team. There's also something called pride where you just play as hard as you can. And he's stealing bases. He's hitting homers. he's doing all right. It's just, does he need to get out of there? I mean, yeah, but come on, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, just for context, Cam said Al Rob needs to get out of Chicago. Bad baseball is contagious. Looks like he's not enjoying the game. People don't understand how difficult it is to play in environments like the one he's in. I don't know if you can relate, AJ, because I feel like whenever you talked about your crappy teams, you're like, we made the best of it, had a good time. But for some guys, it does feel like it really takes a toll.
It does suck. Listen, I mean, I was on crappy teams. Mostly I was on good teams, but I only played on a couple really bad teams. And they were at the end of my career, mostly 2007 aside, because we had everybody injured, and that doesn't really count. But at the end of my Braves, I kind of knew them, and I was also, 38, 39 years old. So I was just trying to help the kids that were there. But, yeah, I mean, I could see where it would take a toll on you and wear you out. But, I mean, geez, you still got to be a professional, and you still got to try and have fun and understand that you're the best player on that team. Let's play like it.
I would need to see, I would need to see more from Lou Bob right now. Louis Robert is like, if he's the best player on that team, which everybody thinks he is, to me, elevate that team. Go out there every single day and give everything you have to either get traded to a contender or make it more enjoyable yourself. And sometimes it looks like he is disengaged when I watch White Sox games, and that would make me fearful as a team acquiring him.
Cam may have been joining us Wednesday too, so we can duke it out, debate it. Grant McAuley joining us right now to do a little Braves talk. You can hear him on 92.9 The Game down in ATL, also host of From the Diamond, talking Braves all the time. So, Grant, great to have you back on. What did you think of the weekend for the Braves, which felt long, especially with the delay on, what was that, Saturday night?
Yeah, it was like 4 hours and 15 minutes worth of weather-related delays. I don't think anybody signed up for that. But by the time you got to Sunday, I think the Braves just needed a win in whatever form that it would take. And that, I feel like, had kind of erased a little bit of the goodwill that they'd been building up with 4 consecutive series wins and really 3 better weeks of baseball after their 0-7 start. But they were able to salvage that finale. They do have 4 games against the Reds, which will be a tough team rolling in. So they're going to try to rebuild that momentum and just keep grinding it out, I think, until they can get Ronald Acuna Jr., Spencer Strider back, and maybe finally get a gauge on what exactly this team can be this year.
What if when Ronald Acuna Jr. comes back, it's not the shot in the arm that they're looking for? Aren't the answers in this lineup currently, if we're just going to talk about the lineup? Because the pitching staff, I feel like the Braves, watching from afar, they always just bring somebody up, whether he's going to be a historic pitcher for the rest of his career or not. You only get one of those per year, and they have that in Spencer Schwellenbach. But you sit there and you go, the current guys in the lineup can't expect Ronald Acuna Jr. to come and hit 30 and steal 30.
No, I think that's fair. And I talked about this on my show on Sunday about you got to temper expectations at least a little bit, because we have seen this show before where Ronald does come back from a year-long grueling rehab process. He pushed himself a lot harder, I'd say, last time to get back as soon as possible, whereas I think the team and Ronald are trying to learn a little bit from that and bring him back on a timetable that doesn't necessarily put the weight of the world on him. He's not walking through the door to save the season. I don't think that's a fair expectation from him, no matter how good he is. But I do feel like at this point, you have to temper your expectations, because this is the second knee injury. You know that the last one, he didn't come back as a supernova. It took a year for him to get back to that status, but he's only going to make the club better in my eyes, in whatever way that can be, whether that's the emotional lift, the on-field lift, just I feel like the overall energy that comes with adding one of the best players in baseball back to your team. But you're right, Eric. I think that the answers have to be Austin Riley and Matt Olson and Marcell Ozuna and Ozzie Albies and Michael Harris. It's a multiple choice question, but maybe there aren't any wrong answers, but they've got to get all these guys going in conjunction. That's really been the hard part since, I would say, about a calendar year ago. They started out really well 3-4 weeks into the season last year, and then it just kind of ground to a halt offensively. They've got some pitching questions, which we can get into, but if they're scoring runs the way that they're capable of, I think it'll answer a lot of the questions for the team as a whole.
I don't believe in he was playing way better than over expectations. Like, you only play up to your best level. And 2023 is what the Atlanta fans and even probably players are going to look at and say, this is our lineup. This is what we should do. We should have 7 starting players in the All-Star game. Is that an aberration? Is that an aberration? Because besides Ozzie Albies, who was hurt part of that year, they were healthy and playing every single day. Is that too much of an expectation, or have they just completely fallen short of that, and that is what the expectation should be in Atlanta for those core 5 guys?
I don't know if there's an easy answer to that question. Aberration, maybe not. Outlier, perhaps, is fair. I mean, they're the only team that, as a collective, slugged 500 for a season, which is still a crazy stat to wrap your head around. But the pieces are all there. These guys are in the primes of their career. Yes, they've dealt with some injuries. Ozzie, of course, Ronald last year was just an insane just domino effect of everybody seemed to spend a month or 2 or more on the injured list. But you look at Austin Riley, you have expectations of him of 30 and 100. You look at Matt Olson, the same expectations. I mean, if you don't want to pile it on to Ozzie based on what we've seen the last couple of years, or Ronald coming off of injury, that's fair. Michael Harris, though, I feel like has been kind of a mercurial player. He'll go through some real doldrums, and then he'll break out and be one of the best hitters on the team for half a year. So they've just got to put all that together with the Sean Murphys. Alex Verdugo has a role to play here now with Jurickson Profar not coming back for at least a couple of 3 more months. I don't know that there's any easy answers for the Braves, but you do feel like when you look at these guys that there is another level. What that level is, though, I don't know if it'll ever be 2023 again, but it should be better than we've seen over the last 13 or so months.
What about the pitching? Chris Sale hasn't gotten off to a great start. Schwellenbach has been okay. He was good. He's kind of got beat up. Bryce Elder has been really good for him. The bullpen's been kind of back and forth. Where's the pitching help? Do we still believe that the Braves are going to have great pitching by the end of this year?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, AJ, because you look at, there's the subtractions from this club. We see what Max Fried is doing in New York. And even if him coming back was not something that was in the cards, what were going to be the pieces that were going to be in place in order to cover that loss? And I think the answer to that obviously would be Spencer Strider, who unfortunately came back for all of 5 innings and landed right back on the injured list. Schwellenbach, I think, will figure it out. I think this is maybe the first big league adversity that he's faced because he is a strike thrower. He does have a lot of pitches. Maybe there are some things for him to work on to get better. Chris Sale has been kind of an interesting case this year. He's kind of throttled the velocity up and down. The slider's still getting swings and misses, but his off speed and his fastball have not really been there for him, especially the way that they were last year. And then I think you got questions at the back of the rotation. Can Bryce Elder help right now? Certainly. Is he the answer? I don't know if I can buy into that based on his last 30 big league starts. Grant Holmes has been a great story. I think he's doing the best he can, but there's still an obvious void in the rotation with no Reynaldo Lopez and 2 obvious voids in the bullpen because you lost AJ Minter, who then got hurt for the Mets, obviously, so maybe that cancels itself out. But Joe Jimenez is also out for the year, and Raisel Iglesias has looked very human this year. So I think there are a lot of pitching questions. It should improve. They should be looking at the deadline or whenever they can add to this mix if they want to really, I think, amp up their chances of contending in this division and pushing into the postseason. But there are more questions on this pitching staff, I feel like, than any time I can think of recently in the last 6-7 years of their postseason runs.
A month ago, we were still in spring training. A month before that, it was still the offseason. Did Alex Anthopoulos do enough to not put their pitching staff in this situation during the offseason?
I don't think that they got anything close to done that they wanted to in the offseason. I think that the Jeff Hoffman thing would have helped. I think that obviously Tanner Scott could make the club a little bit better. You can't stop any of these pitchers or players that you sign and you acquire from maybe getting hurt on their own once they come over. But if you looked at the finished product of the offseason shopping and checked that cart, and then got to spring training and looked around to see if you had all the pieces, I'm not sure that the Braves did or do right now. And they're having to kind of make do, especially in the rotation with the injury to Reynaldo Lopez. The Strider thing clearly has been an ongoing problem, unfortunately. Maybe he's back in the next week or 2. We'll see. But no, to make a long story very short, I don't think they got done what they wanted to this year. And losing some key pitchers is tough to overcome because the internal options are not there the way that they were 4, 5, 6 years ago when they were really pumping out some of those top pitching prospects, maybe longer than that ago if we really think about it, with the Frieds and the Kyle Wrights and the Michael Sorokas and whatnot, and Ian Anderson for that matter. they just don't have, I feel like, that kind of clear answer in the minor leagues to help him out right now.
Was this an ownership kind of hamstringing him a little bit, or was this an Alex Anthopoulos not finding value anywhere? Because the previous offseason, they found value in a trade for sale. They found value in Reynaldo Lopez, who had 2 Cy Young seasons for both of those guys. Or did ownership kind of hamstring him a little bit this offseason?
I do think that was a factor for sure. And Alex, when we talked to him in his postseason availability right after they got bounced in the wild card, said, payroll's gone up every year. We expect it to go up this year. It sounded like they had some player options that they were interested in exercising. And then we started to see, well, maybe not. Traded Jorge Soler. Okay, maybe he didn't fit. You decline Travis d'Arnaud's option. You don't re-sign, obviously, Fried and Minter reach free agency. That's a different equation. Then the Tanner Scott thing doesn't work. He signs with the Dodgers. The Jeff Hoffman thing gets put to the side because of medical issues. And I feel like they had a little bit of money to spend at the end, and that's why they did the Profar signing, because they wanted to do something. But I'm not sure that they even came close to getting it accomplished. And I don't think it's just Alex Anthopoulos decided that, hey, I've got a good team. It could be great, but I don't want to spend. I don't really feel like that sounds like the Alex Anthopoulos that we've heard from over the years. He's always looking for value, but at some point, I think you'd like to have some financial punching power, and I don't know that the Braves have necessarily displayed that outside of locking down their core to multi-year deals to create a sustainable winner. But I feel like there are some missing pieces, missing parts, and ownership could certainly help out if they were able to green light a little bit more spending and punching power, financially speaking, for Anthopoulos and company.
And Alex has done a really nice job of getting creative around the trade deadline, always trying to make transactions during the season. It is difficult, though, with the way that the farm system is set up for Atlanta, right? It's not a loaded farm system for them. So we'll see what happens. Grant, we're going to step aside here, but thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll talk down the road, too.
Always. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That's Grant McAuley. Look him up. Check out all of his work. Of course, we've got our work on the Braves as well with Hammer Territory, part of the FT network. Brad, Scott, and the rest of the crew there, the 4-man crew that keeps chugging along for your Braves coverage. FT fam, be right back. FT fan, by now, if you're buying, selling, trading, collecting cards, Arena Club is the spot. We've been talking about them all season long, but I do want to focus on the slab pack experience, Kratz, since you've been ripping some slab packs digitally. And what happens?
I mean, as a kid, you wanted to rip open the packs. How can they do this digitally? Oh, baby. This is exciting. How the graphics come out and everything. And, oh, yeah, the card that you pull, you can actually get that, John, physically. So it's perfect. It's all in one place, and it's a super exciting experience.
Yeah, they send that to you from the vault if you want it. But if you look at it and you're like, it's not the card for me, I want to sell back, go for it. You can do any of that on Arena Club, and you can acquire the best value for your money with those slab packs, transparent checklists, and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/FAL and use code FAL. arenaclub.com/FAL. Use code FAL. All right, let's get right to the tweet here. We have 2 minutes, and it's kind of a long quote from Ron Washington. But, AJ, this team has been a mess. They've lost 15 of 19 games. Have they won since the travel day fiasco? Anyway, they were asking, he said, I've had many conversations with the team. I'm tired of having meetings. I've had a lot of meetings, and sometimes when you have too many meetings, it falls on deaf ears. I call a meeting when I think it's important. Right now, it's not like we're playing terrible baseball. The score might look like it. We've just got to start getting some outs late in the game, and if we start getting outs late in the game, that'll turn it around. The attitude is good. The atmosphere in the clubhouse is good. We've just got to figure out a way to win some ball games.
Listen, I go back to what Ozzie Guillen used to say all the time when people would ask him about team meetings. Bad teams have meetings, good teams win. There's only so many meetings you can have. At the end of the day, you got what you got, and you just go out and play. And listen, the score is the ultimate indicator of where you're at. Yes, have they won since that? They did beat the Tigers on Saturday, I believe, Scott. So they have won a game since then. But yeah, I agree with Wash on this. Like, how many meetings can you have? It ain't a meeting. This isn't football where you like run harder and tackle stronger and make a better block. This is baseball where you have to kind of be like this. So unless you see something blatantly wrong, meaning with effort, which Wash doesn't see, or with preparation, which he says he doesn't see, a team meeting doesn't really do you any good other than, I don't know, let's have a meeting to have a meeting. I don't get it.
They've lost 8 of 9 since we made a big deal out of that getaway day fiasco. I mean, it's kind of their season.
It's a big thing.
Huge. Hope it was worth it. Hot corner, let's sizzle. The Blue Jays are trying to pick up some reinforcements for their starting rotation. Of course, Manoah's still missing for a bit, and Max Scherzer is on the 60-day IL now. They pick up José Ureña. That's on a minor league deal. It made one appearance for the Mets. Actually put up okay numbers last year. A bunch of starts, 30-some-odd starts last year with Texas. And then, I don't remember which one of you it was, but Spencer Turnbull is signing with the Blue Jays. He's going to go to a complex league, get himself ramped back up kind of situation. He had a 2.5-ish ERA last year. He was really damn good when he added a sweeper. It was a money pitch for him. It really made a difference for him. He looked really good. I mean, small sample size. He got hurt for the second half of the year. But was it AJ? Was it? I mean, usually I default to you. Were you making fun of me when you said I mentioned him too much and why he should sign on with a team?
Yes, I was making fun of you because you talked about him every day. Like he was the difference maker. Like he was, like they were bringing in, like, I don't know, Clayton Kershaw or Justin Verlander in the prime of their career. I don't know. Spencer Turnbull had a great year last year. Good for him. And I'm glad he signed with somebody, but he's not. I mean, is José Ureña and Spencer Turnbull going to make the Blue Jays hit more homers and do more damage offensively? Because their pitching has been okay. It's been more of the fact that they haven't really hit. So I don't know. I mean, they're 16 and 18 right now. They're in 4th place, tied for 3rd with the Rays, I guess. So depending on how you look at it, but I don't know. I mean, these are nice moves for the people, but does it change the direction of the Blue Jay season? I'll ask you that, Scott.
Does it change the direction of the season? No. Does it help them tread water? I think it could, right? I mean, Spencer Turnbull, if he's healthy, is a big league starting pitcher in my mind. And so I don't know what the money ended up being, but there was a standoff there and teams were just like, nah, which has happened with quite a few other free agents. To me, this was just a case of a guy who's not that old. He's 32 years old. Again, it was 50 some odd innings last year, but a 156 ERA plus. I mean, he was dynamite. That is actually probably comparable to Verlander Kershaw prime numbers. They just did it for like 200 something innings instead of like 56 innings. I get it. Okay. But he could help. The offense is, to me, it's not there. Santander's had a slow start. Bo Bichette finally had his first home run of the season this past weekend. I mean, to me, Kratz, I think that's the biggest X factor in the offense. In the offseason, we were like, cool, Santander gets added. Vladdy should do Vladdy things. Bo's going to bounce back. The power has not bounced back for him.
It hasn't. I'm not sure where it went, whether he was dealing with the elbow last year. His batting average is up higher this year. But this is really a make or break season. Bo Bichette's going to be in the big leagues next year. It's a matter of, is he going to get a nice little shortstop deal, or is he going to get a Dansby Swanson type of $100+ million deal when he goes out into free agency? And this team needs him. He's hitting at the top of their order, but even if he does turn it around, like a team that has Andres Jimenez, again, we love Andres, we love him, and he's got platinum in his glove, but he doesn't have platinum in his bat. If he's hitting 4th or 5th in your lineup, you need other guys to step up that haven't yet, and it's really permeated through this entire team.
I'm with you. I mean, Bo this year, it's definitely a better year for him. I mean, last year was a 70 OPS plus 598 OPS. He's at a 706 right now, 288 batting average, 323 on base, but the slug's 384. I mean, that's the difference because he was really consistent. AJ, that was the one thing we looked at the start of his career was, season after season, he is putting up well above average offensive numbers. And part of that, of course, was the slugging percentage, at least in the mid to upper 400s. I mean, you're just not seeing that from him yet. And maybe the homer gets it going, but I mean, to me, that's a big standout. I don't know.
Where does it go, though?
27.
That's why I wonder, where did it go? What happened? It's not like he's, 37. He's 27. What happened? I know you have rough months and rough this and rough that, but gosh, Bo Bichette was such a dynamic player for so long. You just wonder, where did it go?
Really interesting to me. I have no idea. The swing to me, physically, effort-wise, still looks the same. He was always it looked like he was off balance in the sense of like he would put some serious torque into it. And he still does. That hand-eye coordination, it just looks like he's not able to drive the ball to the gaps the same because he's always had that super quick bat speed, snap, hook, and doubles down the line. It is definitely a case that is intriguing to me to figure out why.
Yeah. I mean, it's happening for Santander right now. He's got 4 homers, sitting $178, slugging .310.
But
it got a little better lately.
That's more pressure to me. Like, I just signed a deal. I need to perform. Give him a little bit of time. It happens to a lot of guys. I mean, let's give him a little bit of time. We're still in May. Let's get till June, and then we'll talk about it. But that to me is I signed a big contract. I got to press, and we're not hitting, so I needed to carry it.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
but Santander is not a year in and year out 40 guy. Early in his career, he was here, and then he started to really, the last couple years, started to figure out how to have that doing consistent damage from season to season.
AJ, I think it's also just fair to say that this is a team that relies on starting pitching and defense more than anything else. We've looked on paper for years like, oh, wow, this should be a really good lineup. But George Springer's getting up there. Varsho is definitely more of a glove guy. Bo doesn't have the power. Santander's off to a slow start. The bottom of the lineup's not intimidating. So you start to look up and you're like, yeah, I mean, go ahead, load up your rotation. Make sure that you win those 3-2 games because they're going to have to stick around.
You are what the numbers say you are at the end of the day, Scott. That's you can try to sugarcoat it with expected ERAs and expected batting averages and all this, but you are what your numbers say you are. And you're right. That's what this offense has been for the last few years. And when they've gotten into the playoffs, they haven't done anything offensively. That's why much like the Orioles, right? The Orioles have had great offenses and they go to the postseason and they disappear. Why? Nobody knows, right? So at some point you are what you are. I don't know. There's no easy answer because trust me, if there was an easy answer, GMs and owners and president of baseball ops would have already figured this out. But it's just such a fickle game, baseball. It's so hard.
Let's finish with this right now. Just in terms of teams that you like in the division, go 1 through 5 for me on the American League East. Teams that you like. Don't go off the standings. Just, teams you like, teams you think are going to be legit playoff contenders, the whole deal. Go down the line. Kratz, you want to go first?
Yankees, Red Sox. I get it. I'm wrong in this, but I love the Orioles. I really think they have to turn it around, and I don't see how. And then the Jays, and then the Rays. I think the Rays. I don't know if they can continue to hit the magic button this year without that one ace stepping up for their staff.
AJ, anything different from yours?
I'm just going Yankees, Red Sox. We're just asking playoff contenders right now. That's it. I mean, the other three are, but unless Baltimore does something and turns it around to prove me wrong, I just can't do it right now with the other teams in this, especially the AL West with where they're standing. And then I look at the Central with the Tigers and the Royals. The Royals are a better team than the Orioles. I just watched it. They beat them 2 out of 3 this weekend. I think they beat them 2 out of 3 in Kansas City. So, I mean, the Royals are a better team. So there's your 6 playoff teams. If you go Yankees, Red Sox, 2 of the West and 2 of the Central, there's your 6. And where are the Orioles? They're out.
I thought you meant to just rank the American League East. Sorry, I wasn't giving you my 5 playoff teams all coming from the East. But do you think the Jays signed Spencer Turnbull to not allow the Orioles to sign him? Because if he is a big league pitcher, why would the Orioles not? The Orioles don't have 5 starting pitchers currently.
That's a great question. I think that he was one of the veterans in a standoff. He was in the Lance Lynn category, except they're 2 very different pitching profiles right now. I think Lance would also tell you, like he was at the late stages of his career. He's okay, stepping away. Spencer Turnbull's 32, coming off the best results we've seen from him. He was not trying to step away. I mean, I don't know. We'll get the number at some point, but I don't know why Baltimore or plenty of other teams wouldn't jump at a starter if he's available like this. But we haven't talked about it in a while, so I'm okay doing this, AJ. David Robertson's still out there too. And he was a damn good reliever last year. It's not like, oh, it's been a couple years. No, he's been good year after year, even though he's up there in age. So he'll probably sign if he wants to still play halfway through the season, and he'll get the number that he wanted there, where let's say he wanted 10 and maybe a team at the deadline's like, you know what, instead of signing prospects, let's give David Robertson a try. He's been throwing the whole time here and we'll sign him for 5, 10 prorated for the rest of the year, something like that.
No, we'll see. I mean, it's kind of like Lance Lynn and Ross Stripling, friend of the show, Chicken Strip, who announced his retirement, right? At some point, the squeeze isn't worth the juice. What is it? The juice isn't worth the squeeze, whatever it is, whatever the saying is. And they just don't want to do it anymore. And you realize, you know what? I'm okay not playing baseball. You can't play baseball your whole life. So I don't know if David Robertson is going to come back. I mean, listen, Spencer Turnbull, to say the Blue Jays signed him to keep him away from the Orioles, I think the Blue Jays signed him because Ross Atkins and Shapiro think they might be in trouble and they need to try to do everything they can to win this year. And they look at the other teams in the division and say, this division is possibly winnable if we can get it right. So I don't know if it was to keep him away from the Orioles. I think it was more to improve their team. And you know what? If he does good, guess what they can do with him? If they're out of it, they can trade him and try and get some prospects. So this is a win-win for the Blue Jays. I don't think it had anything to do with the Orioles. I think it's just they were like, he can improve our team because of who else we have out there.
Yep, agreed. Brilliant. Yeah, if you're not in a good spot and he looks good, then you can flip him at that point. And he's had injury concerns in his career. Well, now you're really only going to get him for about a half a season. So you kind of limit that risk a little bit too. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll swing back, and coming up next on FT, the Dodgers finally called up Hyeseong Kim, who they signed in the offseason. So we'll talk about that series. Yamamoto shining, Fried shining. We'll go over some things from the weekend. BetMGM Locks, but first, your free game of the day. Houston is at Milwaukee. It's 7:40 Eastern time. You can watch that game for free on the BetMGM app if you are a BetMGM customer with an account logged in and if it is funded. So check that out this evening. 2 teams that got to get themselves going. They're right in the mix, though. They're fine. It's a lot of hovering around the 500-ish mark and then try to make your push. Locks, Friday. Loser for me. Royals won the rest of the games. Good for you, Kratz, with your plus 257. Get the under on Friday and then the under for the Cleveland-Toronto game as well.
Yeah, the Toronto game. Ooh, Hoffman was in there second and third at a 5-3 game. Whew, made a nice little play to finish it out with 2 outs. Appreciate it.
Todd Father is wearing a Mets hat in the money bags, and he is representing the team like that right now. First place Mets. It's up 1,020. So, AJ, you want to go here? We got a minute. You got something good?
Yeah, I got just a little parlay. We're betting 300. Over 9, the Guardians Nationals. I just think they're going to score. Both teams have been swinging it fairly decently. I think over 9 in that with the pitching matchup. And then I'm going, this is a surprising one, over 17.5 outs for Matthew Boyd against the Giants. That means he's got to throw 6 innings, get 18 outs. Why? The wind is blowing in Wrigley. I check the weather always before I make a bet in the Cubs games, especially at Wrigley. And Imanaga was short-started yesterday, and I think Matthew Boyd can really match up well against these Giants. So I'm giving him, he's going to get 6 innings for it. That's plus 273. Bet 300. We're going to get back on track here eventually.
All right. I like it. And also I want to let everyone know that we'll make some poker announcements soon on where we'll go next and have some pretty big names involved. But in the meantime, if you are in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Michigan and you want to play online, then you can play against those respective states that I mentioned. They're all in the FAM now. It's called shared liquidity. So that means, of course, more players, bigger prizes, the whole deal. Check it out. So if you are an online poker player, you got to be in one of those 3 states. Now you can all face off against each other, including the famous Bruce Banner, a.k.a. Erik Kratz, who's on there quite frequently. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll be right back. We'll also go over picks for Kratz and for me tonight, but let's talk Dodgers. We'll do a little Cubs, a little Max Fried if we have time. All right, Hyeseong Kim has been called up by the Dodgers. So he was an offseason signing. We're kind of looking around like, does nobody else want this guy? And then the Dodgers have so much depth, AJ, they talk him into going down to the minor leagues for a bit. 801 OPS down at AAA. Not a big power guy, not a big exit velocity guy, which obviously, a lot of front offices look at and see if you're at a certain threshold to kind of be a big leaguer. I was looking up the numbers for him. I'll get him in a sec on, where he was at least in AAA. So average exit velo was 87.3 miles an hour, cleared 95, which is the hard hit rate number, 31% of the time. So that number would rank 237 out of 260 qualified hitters. I know what you're going to say. That's not what he's known for. Start all over the diamond, make contact, run around. He didn't even get an at bat yet. They put him for an inning at second base and an inning to pinch run.
His nickname is the Comet. Why? Because he runs fast, right? He stole a base last night. He's got the double oven mitts going. His game is not power. The Dodgers did not sign him for power. They signed him for pinch running, defense, and whatever else he can do. Get some hits, bunt, put some pressure on the defense. So welcome to the big leagues. Hyeseong Kim, hope it goes well for you. But a team like the Dodgers, it's hard to find at bats on that team, because of who they have everywhere. But I think he can help them because I think he does bring in athleticism that they need, especially later in the games. And their manager, he knows something about stealing bases.
He knows how important it is to get 90 feet. And this dude the other night when he came in, he got his team 90 feet. Yes, he stole a base. Obviously, it was no contest stolen base. But the play where it was a ground ball, I think it was ground. I forget where it was, but he advanced after the throw to third, and Olsen tried to throw him out of third. Like it was a legit play. Like that was a big league base running that Dave Roberts, he loves that stuff because he used to do it.
Yeah, and I assume he'll get a start, obviously, in the next day or two, just to get him some ABs, see what he looks like at the plate. The strikeout percentage was a little high, but a small sample size. He's coming over from overseas. Let's give him a second here. But, this was a guy who, they brought in. Remember, then they traded away Gavin Lux. And, by the way, he gets the playing time because Tommy Edman hits the shelf. Ankle inflammation. So it doesn't sound like it's serious.
If he's getting a lot of at-bats, the Dodgers are not in a good place. But that's not a knock against him. It's a knock against how deep this team is. Look at the dudes that are on the bench. I need to give Kike at-bats versus right-handers. Chris Taylor, when he's healthy, he should not be getting a ton of at-bats with the way that this team is constructed, but he can step in and be a veteran spark plug, which is rare to find an older player with a lot of experience that can step in and do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And then I just want to point this out, and I'll pair the two together. AJ, Yamamoto for the Dodgers, and then Max Fried, who pitched on Friday for the Yanks and shoved again. Those two right now are front runners for Cy. We're super early, but I feel like now that we're 6 weeks or so into the season, we can give them some extra love. They've been ridiculous.
They have. My question is Yamamoto just going to be the Friday night college starter and Sasaki Saturday, and then it was Glasnow Sunday? Like they're on a once a week schedule here. It's like college, right? They have a Friday night starter Saturday. Eventually they're going to have to mix that up, right? Do the Dodgers have enough depth to keep doing bullpen games to keep them on this once a week schedule?
Hey, it's working for Yamamoto. I wouldn't change a thing. Yamamoto Fridays are a vibe right now.
No, you're right. Sasaki's on Saturday, and it was Glasnow on Sunday. So I don't know. Do they have enough depth to keep that going the whole year? I know we're 35 games in, but do they have enough depth to keep it going?
Yes. And they have a good enough lineup to keep it going, where the other nights, yeah, you know what? Ultimately, it's probably going to end up screwing somebody else, but leave them on Fridays. Hey, you're playing Friday. Like, we'll see you the rest of the week. To me, I want to hit on Fried. Max Fried, it almost looks like he brings a different intensity that I don't always see out of Yankees pitchers. You know, you have the superstars they got Rodon the year that he was the best available. They got Garrett Cole, his Cashman's white whale. Max Fried is going to usher in kind of the next era of Yankees starting pitching free agents, and he couldn't have been more, well received. The way he's been pitching, he also keeps the running game down. Like, it's something like he's full service for the Yankees, and I think Garrett Cole this year.
Yeah, he does it all, Fried. They're 7-0 when he starts, 12-15 when he doesn't. FT fam, we're coming right back. Got a lot to do in Slap Hands.
My people of FT, what's happening? This is not Parlay Pap today. This is Prop Bet Pap coming to you. Parlay Pap sucks, so we had to set him aside for a second. Anyway, here's your bet today from Prop Bet Pap, okay? Kansas City Royals, 6 runs today against the Chicago White Sox. Shane Smith going to get his ass lit up today. They're going to put 8 to 10 across the plate. So that's going to be plus 145, and we're going to put 200 on it. Let's get that cheese.
AJ.
Pap ain't looked at Shane Smith's numbers. I'm just saying. He's been pretty damn good. Pap needs a check. Check himself. Just
Maybe
saying.
the bullpen. Maybe the bullpen will give it up.
Shane Smith has been pretty damn good.
Yeah,
that
the bullpen
splitter
stuff.
thing is nasty.
Pap
Kratz,
is
what are
mad
you doing
because
today?
Shane Smith shoved against the Red Sox.
I'm going money line is at plus 125 for the Reds, and Brady Singer playing the Braves and AJ Smith-Shawver. Anytime I can get plus 125 on a team that I think is starting to go like this with the Reds, but they also have Brady Singer, and the Braves just played a grueling series down in Atlanta against the Dodgers. I think it'll be a little step back, a day for the Reds to get a victory.
I'm going to try to get myself going with a parlay tonight. I'm going to watch 2 starters. Smith-Shawver's one of them. Try to get 5Ks out of him. 5Ks out of Luis Severino against the Mariners lineup. And the Reds obviously are playing against Smith-Shawver. If I pair those 2 together, I'll put 200 down, plus 194 for that little parlay. Okay. So there are locks for tonight. Good luck on your picks this evening. And also for BetMGM account holders, you can receive an any sport parlay boost token. So a bigger payout if your wager with that boost token hits. Tokens can be used on parlays and on same game parlays. Okay, go check that out if you have the BetMGM Sportsbook app or online. And also, if you're new to the party, use that code FOUL to get yourself a little extra cash back if you lose on your first bet. All right, we will be right back. We'll slap. We'll go over a few things to look forward to on Foul Territory Network Mondays, which means a lot more shows after us. Let's slap. I mean, it's a perfect topic for slap. Lance McCullers Jr. is back. 3 2/3, 4 strikeouts, few hits, no earned runs. I mean, he was getting a lot of crap for years from fans on socials. I get it. It's not fun, but he made it back, AJ, which is incredible. I mean, it had been years. He hadn't pitched since, what was it, the 2022 playoffs?
Game 3.
Game 3. Damn.
He looked pretty
in
good
Chicago.
too. He threw the ball well. He threw the ball pretty well. So, yeah, good for you, Lance. Welcome back. I know it's been a long road. We interviewed you last year in spring training, and he said he was getting close, and it never happened. But I'm glad he's back. It's a plus. It's a plus when guys get back after all the time that he missed.
Guys that go through injuries, it's one thing, but guys that go through injuries that stack on top of injuries on top of injuries, and you're almost back. He never really knew. He was like, I almost can't believe that I'm actually getting back out there, because he got close sometimes to get to that next threshold, and then something else set him back. So that's awesome. He's got to be proud of himself for making it back through all of that.
Yeah, credit to Lance. Hopefully we can get him on the show soon. Ross Stripling announced his retirement, someone who's been on our show very frequently. So there it is. Nice little look at some of the unis for Ross, of course, including the Dodgers and the Blue Jays last year, on the A's, the Giants before that. So Chicken Strip, we love you. We miss you. Congratulations on an incredible career, and we'll bring him in at some point to talk about it, of course. Good voice in the game. Really good representative of our sport, good ambassador, always, at his locker, that whole deal. And then even to a show like us to give a lot of time.
Pro's pro.
Congrats on a great career.
Mm-hmm.
Now go be a financial advisor and make money.
Now what?
Yeah, keep making money. Be a financial advisor. Keep making money.
That's right.
I like that.
He might make more post-career, AJ.
Make your second career better than your first career, Scott.
That's tough. You're going to have to really do something. He made a lot of money. But he also broke in late. Never really was like that guy who was like, oh, we're giving you the starting spot. He would bounce around. Then he established himself, got a great contract. Good for him.
This is my second career. I think it's been better. I like it. Kratz, you?
It's more fun.
More fun?
Yeah, more fun than trying to hit a slider.
All right, so this is Foul Territory Network Mondays. That means that in 3 minutes, Dodgers territory starts. So you can check that out. That'll go for a half hour. Then it's Baseball America Hot Sheet. We have a lot to get to, including the Roman Anthony to first base, why not kind of topic, among other things. We'll talk some college baseball as well. And then Mayday has his show. That's Trevor May. Boom. There it is. One of the videos did well for him over the weekend was his breakdown of Aaron Judge, who, at this point gets a little boring to talk about. AJ, he looks insane, and we still don't know why people pitch to him this much, but his numbers are better than we've ever seen. And last year, right? He started super slow. This year, not so slow.
He's off to an unbelievable start. What else can you say? It's unbelievable what he's been doing, especially with who's hitting behind him. And Juan Soto said, it matters who's hitting behind you. So I don't know. We'll see how teams adjust to what he's doing. But the biggest thing he has going for him is that he plays in Yankee Stadium. And when he misses balls, they still go out of the park to right center. That is a huge, huge thing, and is a great feeling as a hitter when you can miss a ball and it still goes out.
He's 428? 438 is his batting average? It's like high school numbers that he's putting up. It's ridiculous. I don't care how short the porch is, how deep the outfield is, why are they throwing to him? Just walk him.
I agree. Especially right now, he is on a heater. Leave him alone. Anybody else can beat me, right? AJ, you've brought up like half the Yankees are like, let them hit 450 with a ton of homers, because it's not going to happen. So I just feel like the mistakes continue. And we've had good combos. We should continue to have those with pitchers. Like, what is your strategy here? And I get it, right? Like, first inning, he's up, no one's on. Okay, you're going to go after him a little bit. But there are plenty of situations right now where you look and you're like, I don't know if you should be attacking him with the way he's swinging the bat. Anyway, let's shout out Hammer Territory. So this just marked a year for them to be under the Foul Territory Network. Steven, part of the crew there, obviously said on May 2nd, exactly 1 year ago today, they made the switch, published their first episode. The second paragraph's the cool part. The month we finished, April, which wasn't like this dream month for the Braves, was their biggest month ever with podcast downloads. So he said, thank you to everyone who came over here with us. Very much appreciate you. And they had to start that channel from scratch too. So they had to restart it when they moved over to us, and it's got big pub. So just want to give love to the Hammer Territory guys. They put out 4 or 5 episodes a week. They're dialed on the Braves.
Love the team shows. I love the team shows, and that one's hitting it.
Yeah, it is. And lastly, I mean, I don't have time for the whole quote, but did you guys see Murph talking about Pete Crow Armstrong? He's like, that blue-haired kid, he's kind of a freak right now with the way he's playing.
I liked how he said Kyle Tucker is a guy with a big feet. When he gets into the box and does that weird kicking thing, he's like, ooh, I know this guy can hit.
He would have
Gamesmanship. Gamesmanship by Murph. Like Counsell, he said Counsell gave him gamesmanship. This is gamesmanship by Murph. He knows what he's doing.
He does. He's a wordsmith. He's sneaky, that Pat Murphy. And his team's still lurking, too. Lurking. We're really early in the season. Dodgers territory coming up next. Clint Pasillas taking over. Check that show out. I'll see you on Hot Sheet right after that. Good Monday.